Yo, what's up, guys? It's your boy DJ Don with the Buzz with DJ Don, and I've been following a story today that's pretty crazy, actually. It involves a young lady making sexual harassment allegations, some really serious ones, I understand, towards a local tree company that we all in love. I've spoke with all of them except for the young lady involved, and she wants to talk to me now. Why this is so crazy is some of the witnesses who have witnessed the sexual harassment, the alleged sexual harassment, have been fired from their job, unceremoniously fired. Everybody's mad. We have sexual harassment, supposedly. We have people being fired for reporting it, which is a huge, huge no no. And they want to talk to me about it. So the young lady at the center of this is going to be calling me in just a few minutes. Stay tuned. Hi, my name's Don. I'm with the Buzz with DJ Don. I was speaking with Lisa a little bit ago concerning a situation involving a tree service and some allegations.
Yeah.
Hi, what is your name?
Jade.
Jade?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I've been following this story online, and it seems pretty crazy. I spoke with Lisa a while ago, and what I have so far is it sounds to me like you are upset and filing a claim that one of your superiors has been sexually harassing you. And as a result of some of your witnesses coming forward trying to help you pursue these allegations, they have been unceremoniously fired from their jobs for basically standing up for you.
Yes, that is correct.
So, when did this stuff start?
Um, Basically, when I started working here back in March, and if I'm not mistaken, Ernest went to our safety guy at the end of April and told him that he needed to tell George to stop talking to me the way he does. And I went to the safety guy before and told him that George makes me feel uncomfortable. And nothing was ever said to anyone until Kevin and Ernest finally um, helped me get the courage to say something to our regional on Monday this week. And then Tuesday they were basically fired, and nothing's being done about the man that's been sexually harassing me.
So, do you still work there?
Yes.
So, you still work there. The guy that's been sexually harassing you still works there. But the two most important, most credible witnesses that that have your back have been unceremoniously fired.
Yes.
Wow. So that's a pretty big deal. So how does it make you feel that you still have to work around this guy?
Um, Honestly, I want to quit, but I feel like I should fight this a little more before I do. I'm pretty uncomfortable with the fact that there's quite a few people in the company trying to cover it up for the guy.
So I understand that there's like at least like 9 people that can back your story up. Is that right?
Yes.
So where are you going to go from here?
I'm really not sure. I've just been trying to find an attorney,
Yeah, that was
and
going to
I
be
think
my next
that
question is have you been in contact with legal counsel?
I haven't yet. Lisa gave an attorney my phone number so she could call me, and I'm waiting to hear from her.
Right, right. Wow. Well,
I tried to get a restraining order against the fella, and it got denied. So I set a court date for in the end of October
sure.
to try to get a restraining order.
Sure. Wow. And I understand that you're not the only one, or you may not be the only one that he's been making these sexually suggestive comments to.
Yeah, that is correct.
Wow. Well, we wish you the best of luck. If there's anything that we can do to try to help you out or bring awareness to your situation, then let us know. We'll do what we can. But this is all super crazy. I don't know if Franklin, North Carolina is ready for a scandal like this.
I don't know. I'm just hoping that we can make a difference and, I don't know, put a stop to it, I guess.
Thank you so much for your time, and I'm going to be in touch, okay?
All right, thank you.
Bye bye.
I I reached out to you on Facebook. My friend Katie Weed told me about you.
Sure. All right,
Yeah.
shoot me a message on Facebook so I know who you are.
I'm sorry?
I said shoot me a message on Facebook so I know who you are.
Okay.
All right, thank you. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Wow, guys, I don't know. Developing story, sexual harassment, Franklin, North Carolina. I don't know if the town is ready for a story of this magnitude. Apparently, according to these folks, there's a huge cover up going on, but we'll see.
Hello?
Hi, is this Lisa?
Yes, it is.
Hey, Lisa, this is DJ Don. I was speaking with you on Facebook concerning a post that I had seen this morning.
Yes.
Yeah, so to give you a little bit of background about who I am, I'm DJ Don. I run The Buzz with DJ Don and Cherished Memories DJ, and I run a few of the Facebook groups on Facebook that pertain to Franklin, North Carolina. And I saw a post this morning that was pretty concerning about a local tree service. You want to tell me about that?
Sure. Well, whenever it comes down to it, the situation started occurring around about the end of April. And of course, everybody who works for a corporation understands that, you have to follow protocol and you have to follow chain of command. So that's why this has been so long and so drawn out before, finally having to, go public with it, is because chain of command was followed. My husband followed chain of command and went to their safety supervisor because due to the fact of it being, the general foreman who's over the site, the next person that you can go to before going over anybody's heads would be, your STS. So it was reported to him in like the very last part of April, and he was like, I'll look into it.
So, so what? Excuse me. So what was reported? Like, tell us, like, what the allegations were. I don't understand.
The harassment that this young lady was going through. It was absolutely horrible. I mean, it was always some kind of sexually suggestive comments. What are you willing to do to get this saw? Because she's a tree climber, okay, and she is a damn good one, okay. She's probably one of the best women tree climbers I know. So of course, everybody needs their tools and stuff, but then it would be the little comments like, what are you willing to do to get this saw? And then another comment was, my husband and this GF was sitting in the truck and they were getting ready to have to shuttle, a couple of people back and forth to different job sites. And she's like, okay, so I'm riding with you guys, right? And he's like, well, you can sit on my face, or it was suggestions about, her nipples being able to be seen through a shirt. I can't tell you myself every single comment, because I myself was not there. I can tell you the ones that I know about. Then it was a point that, it just continued. It was brought to, the regional. Then after it was brought to the regional, because they went on storm call at the beginning of this month. And whenever they got on storm call and they got to the area that they were designated to go to, and they were all handed out their hotel room keys, he walks up to her and one of the other female employees and says, "Well, I put y'all's room a little closer to mine for safety purposes, but this is so that y'all can masturbate all night long if you need to."
Wow.
This was in front of just about an entire crew. Okay. It's absolutely unbelievable, and I know that there's probably other I know that there's other comments that I'm not going to be able to tell you because, like I said, I don't have them, or it was some. I mean, when she turned her report in, she turned it in. Let's see. Hang on. Let me see what else I got.
So the person at the center of all of this is a friend of yours who basically is just reporting back to you.
I'm sorry. Could you repeat that? I couldn't hear you.
I said the person at the center of this situation is a friend of yours that's just reporting back to you.
Well, she has become more like family. She's one of the crew members. Whenever you're in the tree business, and unless you're actually in it, and you're working for these corporations, the type of work you're doing is a very dangerous job. You're putting your life in their hands.
No, I understand all of that. What I'm trying to figure out here is I'm trying to figure out how exactly you're involved.
So how I am involved is the two people who helped her report it was my husband and my son.
Sure. Okay. So that makes sense. So let me make sure that I have this correct. So there's a young lady who works at a tree service that's local to Franklin, North Carolina, and she, during the course of her job, was subject to sexually suggestive comments by somebody who is superior to her in rank, and upon reporting it, there was actually two other male witnesses that will corroborate her story and will stand up for her to say this happens, and the company is threatening to take action against those employees for saying anything.
They already did.
So what happened?
So let me get to the last incident, with the most recent one, which would have been Friday the 13th, September Friday the 13th. My husband went to his regional manager, and he told him, he said, there's no other way around this. I'm giving you an ultimatum. He said, you either handle this stuff, he said, or I'm going above your head. So what happened after that point, that was Friday. Then by the time Monday evening rolled around, my son was pulled out of his general foreman spot that he had just received 5 weeks earlier, and was being told that he was being sent back to this other GF's crew who's been, doing all of this. And he did work under him prior. Then after that, so that was Friday. And, he expressed, what his problems were and issues were with working under him, and they turned around, and the weekend came, nobody heard anything. Well, Monday came, it was work as usual. So all the guys went to work, they went their respective ways. Monday evening is when my son got the call saying that his GF spot that he was just given 5 weeks prior, that he no longer had it. He needed to turn his truck in and blah, 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 blah. So what ended up occurring after that, he's like, okay, you know what, I'll turn it in, no worries. If that's the way this is going to go, that's all fine and good. So he turned everything in whenever they went to the lot Tuesday morning. Now, Tuesday morning, they met with the general foreman who was doing the sexual harassing, okay? And they kept trying to tell him, look, we don't want to discuss anything. We don't want to talk about it. We just want to go to work, get our jobs done, and, that be it. Because there was no sense in going back and forth with this man, okay? My husband was already told that, the man was notified of who said it and, who turned him in. So they knew which way it was going to go. So the general foreman turned around and told both of them to go home for the day, get clear heads, and come back the following day. Well, in the process of that, the regional manager, the one that was given the ultimatum, he called my husband, and he's like, look, I would like to come out to the house to meet with you guys, and there was actually 2 other employees here at the same time. So in total, there was 4 Asplin employees here. So what occurred was they had a meeting from 10 a.m. until around 1:30, and I was out here for the entire thing. And what occurred was, whenever he got here, the guys was like, okay, what's going to be done? How are we going to correct this? He's like, we can't work under this man with the way he acts, the way he treats the other employees, and, with everything else that's going on, speaking about the sexual harassment. And he's like, well, what my thoughts are and how I think we need to handle this, after they, got to talking was, he was going to do a very, very large 5-tier climbing crew. He wanted to put my son in a different GF position, a general foreman position, over just the climbers. Then it was going to be my husband that he was going to be putting into the work planner position, and then one of the other guys was going to be lead climbing foreman. So all 4 of these guys get in here with him, and they go over everything, and they get everything all squared away on what they're going to be doing and how it's going to go. And, after they got all their stuff straightened out, my husband looked at him, and he said, okay, he said, what are we doing about this sexual harassment situation? He said, something needs to be done. And, the regional looked up at him, and he's like, well, I tried to talk to her twice, but I'm really not getting anything. And he's like, so I don't know what I can do. And I looked at him, and I told him myself. I said, well, that's because she doesn't trust you. I said, she doesn't know who she can trust right now. I said, because, you're talking, this is her immediate boss that she has to listen to. And he's like, well, I don't want that, And, we fell for it. We wholeheartedly believed he was going to do the right thing. And he's like, well, do you think y'all could get her to talk to me? And I told him, I said, yes, we probably could. I said, she would probably talk to you. I said, she might be willing to come out here, And my husband's like, look, would you like me to call her and see if she's willing to come out and meet with you and go ahead and give you her statements about this? And he's like, definitely. So my husband contacted the young lady and said, look, this we've got the regional here at the house. We've been going over some business, and, he wants to make sure he's able to help you with your problem. And so she came out to the house. She came out here, and she sat down with him. It was him, my husband, and her. They did it in private. That way, of course, she's not having to retell this stuff over and over. She's 21 years old. She's terrified and, doesn't know what to do. So they sat down and they discussed everything, and she gave him her statements. He looked her in the eye, and he told her, he said, I will keep you safe. He said, I promise you. He said, you will not have to deal with this anymore. And, he said, you can contact what they were calling my husband and my son at work was Big E and Little E. He said, if you run into any problems in the meantime while I'm getting the ball rolling to investigate this, he said, if you have any problems, he said, and you can't reach me, he said, you call Big E or Little E, he said, and they'll find me. And she said, okay. She said, I feel comfortable with that. So at that point, she had not given out a written statement yet. It was just a verbal statement. He said that was all he needed at that time. So he left here. After that, he left here at 1:30. When he left here at 1:30, the young lady, along with three of the other climbers, my son being included, they were all going up in town because they were going to go hiking. So they were hanging out in town, getting ready to go hiking, and it was about an hour had went by. So about 2:30, 3 o'clock, she got a telephone call from the regional supervisor, and he wanted to know if she was willing to come up. They stage at an old Walmart building because it's an empty parking lot sometimes, so it's a pretty good meeting spot for multiple companies. And he asked her, he said, would you be willing to come up here and go on ahead and let's get your written statement done? And she's like, sure. So she told the guy, she's like, look, if y'all can hang out, wherever and wait for me, before we go hiking, let me go take care of this business. So she did. She went up there on her own, didn't bring anybody with her. Whenever she got there, it was the regional and one of his bosses that was there. I want to say it was his boss. It's supposed to be one that's like a step above him. We have not met him. So she gets there, and he said, look, can you go on ahead, and I'm going to give you the stuff you need and let you, write your statement out. She said, yeah, sure. Well, she turns around, she gets the paper, she gets the pen, and she's filling it out. And about that time, he picks up the phone. The regional picks up the phone and calls the general foreman that she's making the complaint against and says, I need you up here now. That absolutely terrified that girl. She scribbled whatever down and got the heck out of there.
That's interesting.
So, oh yeah, it was very interesting. Very, very interesting. So then it was probably about 4:30, 4:45. My husband got a call here at the house. And whenever my husband got a call here at the house, it was from the regional. And it was him telling him, okay, well, Biggie, you and Lily are no longer employees of Asplin. They said that you were put down as walking off the job. He said, you were just at my house for 3 hours. You know damn well we didn't walk off of any job. And he's like, this is retaliation because, we helped her, file this complaint, and y'all can't make it go away. And he's like, oh, no, that's not it. He's like, so what you're telling me is I'm fired. He's like, no, you're not fired. He's like, well, how did I walk off the job and quit? He said, we were told to go home. He said, there's 16 witnesses that are willing to stand up and say that we were told to go home. So that's exactly what they did. After that telephone call, the guys are like, there's no way that they're going to do something this stupid, maybe they're just blowing off steam or whatnot. So the guys, Tuesday after all of this, Tuesday evening, the guys got together and they're like, well, you know what? What we're going to do is we're going to reach out to, the safety supervisor because, following chain of command, letting them know, hey, look, I don't know what the problem is here. Everyone knows no one walked off of the job. We were sent home. And, Joey just spent, 3 hours with us going over what plans he had on where he was putting everybody. And, but we will be reporting for work tomorrow morning as normal, Well, they reported for work the next day, which would have been Wednesday. And let me just be quite frank, it was a shitstorm. I mean, I was there from probably 8:30, probably 8:30 until 12 o'clock out there. We ended up actually having PD out there. They called in another safety officer and brought him in because, the regional couldn't say. He's like, well, I never said you quit. Well, yeah, you did. Well, are we fired? No, you're not fired. But okay, well, we didn't quit. We're not fired. What are we?
So when they showed up for work the next day, they just had words with the bosses, and this whole thing kind of came to a head.
There was actually 16 employees out there at one point, okay? Now, some of them worked on other crews, so, of course, they had to go to their respective places because, this is their job, And, us as well as the young lady totally understood that. But there was 9 employees who are standing behind her the entire way. The other ones are more than willing to give statements. But there's 9 of them who will actually be showing up with her in court because, she was advised by the police department to have to go in and put in for a restraining order. Don't be surprised if it is denied and you have to go to court to show just cause on why. So we're trying to get a head count right now, but as of right now, it's looking like upwards of 9 employees who are more than willing to go with her, to help her out and explain, because these employees, a lot of these employees have heard all of this. They've heard the sexual comments, they've heard the sexual innuendo, whatever you want to call it. So, she's got a whole group of guys that were standing there when the police department showed up. And the police department's like, okay, so these are all the guys that are standing up for you? And she said, yeah. She said, every single one of them have stood up for me. And the other safety officer came up, and he looked at the regional manager. He said, you see all these people that just stood together? You need to separate them.
This is all very, very interesting. So, what does she have to say about all of this? Like, is she waiting for something to get done to this guy?
Yeah, she is still waiting. They supposedly started an investigation. My husband tried to call and speak with the investigator because we was told, that the HR investigator was going to be coming out and that they were going to be, taking statements from the employees. They've taken statements from one employee. When my husband contacted this man and said, hey, where can we meet you at to give our statement? He's like, your statement is not needed.
So they wouldn't allow your husband to make a statement, and he's one of the main witnesses that witnessed the
That's
sexual
right.
harassment of this young lady.
That's exactly right. And it's because they're trying to say that, the guy's not working for Asplin anymore. That one thing is separate from the other. No, it's not.
Okay, so let me make sure that I have this part correct. So at this point right now, she has filed a harassment complaint within the company against this gentleman that we're speaking of, and the other 2 gentlemen, one of which is your husband and the other which is your son, have been fired due to standing up for the young lady and backing up her claims of sexual harassment.
You are correct.
So right now, neither one of those guys are employed. They're not making money from their jobs. They haven't been given any severance packages or anything like that. They were just pretty much just let go, and now there's a big mess.
No, sir. That's exactly what it is. It's a big mess. The safety officer that they brought in, which is different, he's not from our immediate area. They brought him in, and he was present on Tuesday morning when all this went down. And, because he's like, okay, because the husband was on the phone with HR, speaking to HR, because he had called the night before and he had filed the complaint about what they had done and how everything was going down with this young lady and what had happened to him and, our son.
But the guy that's being accused still has a job and goes to work every day.
He'll be back at work Monday morning. He took 2 days off for the investigation. The only difference is his son took off time, too, because he didn't want to work while his daddy wasn't able to.
That's interesting.
Oh, yeah, yes, sir. It very much is. But no, sir, my husband is no longer employed by Asplin, and the best part about it is one of the sister companies to this company called my husband and my son this morning about giving them a job because we put the truth on the application on why they were no longer with them. That, they helped her turn this in, then they were told, well, you don't work for Asplin anymore, but you haven't been fired because they're worried about unemployment. I mean, really? That's how it all went down.
All right. So anyway, I'm going to wrap this up. And if the young lady that we were just speaking of wants to talk to me so I could help y'all make light of this situation or figure out heads or tails or any of that stuff, you can have her give me a call or shoot me a message as well.
Okay.
So,
No, I'll as soon as I get done talking to you, I will get with her. But we told her that we was going to be speaking to you, and I told her that I would contact her afterwards. I mean, it shouldn't be like this. It should not be like this, and that's why people don't report sexual harassment, and that's why other employees don't stand up for other employees because of the retaliation.
right.
It's absolutely insane. I don't know what day and age they think we live in, but whenever it came down to it, whenever they started doing this, and we was in contact with human resources, they were, oh yes, we're on top of this. Well, if that's your investigation is to talk to one person and you refuse to talk to the other ones, and the reason that they got rid of them is because if they're no longer an employee of Asplin, then they can't talk to them.
That's interesting. Thank you for your time, and I'll be talking with you soon.
I'm sorry, your phone broke up.
Sorry. I said thank you very much for your time, and I'll be talking with you very soon.
I hope so. I mean, we could really use a helping hand with this, trying to do the right thing, because the sister company that wanted to hire the sister company to Asplin that was going to give them the job this morning said, I don't care, props to you. I'm glad y'all stood up, but I have to check the system to make sure that they haven't put y'all in as non-rehirable yet. And that's exactly what they did. They went in and put them as non-rehirable. That's how we found that out this morning, because they were called about an application that they had put in.
Huh. All right. Thank you very much for your time. I gotta cut this short, so I'll be talking to you soon.
All right. Thank you. Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Wow, guys. I don't know what to say about that. Like she said, tree service, sexual harassment, covering it up. Some people were fired. I don't know what to think about this, but she reached out to me. I reached out to her. We made it happen, and she wanted to just kind of get the word out. So y'all make your own decision. I'm going to be hopefully the girl who's at the center of this investigation gives me a call, and we'll go from there. DJ Don, The Buzz with DJ Don. Peace.